So today I identify with the bodybuilding culture. I'm gonna kind of delve into where it started, how it started, and the benefits of bodybuilding, and also what it did for me, and not only myself, but people underneath me who I currently coach. So let's get started. Bodybuilding started with basically a guy named Eugene Sandow. And Eugene, he basically kind of would lift weights on stage, and he made it more of an art form to do posing routines and to do push-ups, sit-ups, certain things like that. And it was very at the time when it came out, it was really weird for a lot of people, and it was something new. It was something unique. It didn't really start getting popular until towards the 19th century, getting into the 1950s and 60s, and you had famous actors and bodybuilders when it started, and could be Reg Park and many others besides that. And they basically, there was two brothers from Canada who came over and wanted to completely change the scene of bodybuilding, and I really find it interesting because they created a whole new event called the Mr. Olympia competition, and that was basically the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, as referred to from pro bodybuilders such as Sean Ray and Arnold Schwarzenegger, as many of you know, and many others. I mean, almost every single one of them, their main goal is Mr. Olympia competition. That's every year in September. So the Weider brothers, Joe and Ben, they made a lot of profit off of it, and it became less about lifting weights and showing off muscles on stage, and more into an art form. And when they did that, they really focused on each detail of the muscle, and I mean, it really showed dedication and hard work and discipline. It definitely did, and a lot of people recognize that, and the points in the system of how it works went towards that, of how hard you worked each body part. There's some important icons in the bodybuilding presence. Obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was a 7-time Mr. Olympia, and I mean, now he's even a lot more famous, but he went from that and then becoming an actor in multiple movies that many people, I mean, are favorites of. And from there, he actually set a goal to become the governor of California, in which he succeeded. And then you have others that are like Ronnie Coleman, and Ronnie Coleman was an 8-time Mr. Olympia who passed Arnold Schwarzenegger. And when he did that, he totally broke a whole new wave of what was possible. And there was others as well. Lee Haney was also an 8-time Mr. Olympia, and besides all that, these guys showed a lot of hard work and dedication, and it went to that with their supplement companies and their clothing brands, and this is how they made a whole new career outside of the bodybuilding presence. Then besides all that, there was Arnold Schwarzenegger broke out of that, and he retired. And when he retired, it gave a lot of other bodybuilders a chance to kind of succeed, because he had really dominated the 70s. And when he did that, it was, I mean, you had, before, when you had Eugene Sandow, way early in the early 19th century to late, everyone was using pure work ethic. And then when you get into the 1970s to the 80s, that's where anabolic steroids were introduced, and that's what kind of gave bodybuilding a little bit of a bad name. And over the years, it's progressively gotten worse. But besides all that, with or without it, it showed a lot of hard work and determination. And even outside the bodybuilding world, a lot of these pro bodybuilders actually succeeded in almost everything they did, whether they opened a gym, a clothing store, a clothing brand. They made their own supplement company for like vitamins and minerals, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example, you know, he was the governor of California. it has a lot of mental and physical benefits to it. For me personally, I was very, very overweight in high school, and I ended up dropping 80 pounds my freshman year of high school. And from there on, it just got totally out of control. I just loved it. I worked every day. I worked out. I mean, I worked out 3 times a day, and I wasn't getting into trouble. I was focusing on the less side of hanging with friends and being social, and focusing on being successful in everything that I did. And that was really preached by a lot of the top bodybuilders, is to not only be successful in one area, but to be successful in all of life. And I coach now. I coach my athletes in high school, and even they told me, they're like, what you did for me just absolutely saved my life. It got me out of trouble. I made more friends. I got the confidence to meet my girlfriend. And there's an endless amount of ways of how it benefited people. So I like to identify myself with that culture, just because it's been a big part of my life, and it's a big hobby, and I love to share it with others and really get them into it as well, into the sport. And it's only positive, and it really, to me, there's 2 things that kind of set your mind, body, and spirit all together, and that can be martial arts or bodybuilding. And I found that in both, and I work harder than ever in everything, and so does many others who are also in my same category. Thank you.